How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Yud Aleph, Daf 11 of Masechta Avodah Zarah, friends, your friends. On Daf 11, we on Daf 11 we wrap up kind of the discussion of the relationship between Antoninus and Rebbe, and then we talk about some just assorted pagan festival stuff. So exciting times here at Babylon Talmud. Here we go. So we are gonna start on the first line, all the way at the top of Daf Yud Aleph of Masechta Avodah Zarah. Onkelos bar Clonimus. Igayer. So a guy named Onkelos bar Clonimus. It's not clear if this is like the Onkelos Hager, like who wrote the Targum, the famous Targum, the well-known Targum on the Chamishuchim Shetorah. I don't know that's the same one. Anyways, Onkelos bar Clonimus, Igayer, he converted to Judaism. Shadar Kaser Gundadurmoi Abasre. The Caesar sent some Roman troops to go get him. Mashchinu Bekroi, but when those Roman troops came to get him, he, I don't know, started talking to them about some verses about stuff, and turns out Igior, they also converted to Judaism. Pretty convincing guy. So then Caesar sent another, bunch of troops to go and get Onkelos bar Clonimus. And Caesar instructed them, don't say anything to Onkelos ben Clonimus. But when the Roman troops came to get Onkelos bar Clonimus, he says to them, hey, let me just say, I just want to tell you something, okay? Nifura nokat nura kami pifura. Now these are going to be different, types of like officers or ministers or officials, like fancy people. I don't know what the difference is between them, but each one seems to be like more important than the next. So the Nefura, he's going to hold the torch for the Pifura. Pifura, the Duchsa, like Monia. Okay, the Pifura holds the torch for the Duchsa holds the torch for the Hegmona the Kuma. Now the Hegmona holds the torch for the king. Kuma minakat nur mikami inche, and asks Onkelos bar Clonimus to these troops. He says to them, who does the, he says to them, now, would you expect the king to hold the torch for just the regular people? Amalelo. They said, of course not. Why? The king? Of course he should not hold the torch for the regular people. Amalahu. And then Onkelos bar Clonimus says to them, HaKadosh Baruch Hu nokat nura kami Yisrael. Yet, the Rabbeinu Shalom holds a torch for the Yidden. The Chsiv is the Apostle says, Vashem olech lefneim yomim v'gomer, that the Rabbeinu Shalom walks before the Yidden, be'amud eish, right, that with a pillar of fire, l'har Elohim, in order to lighten, to brighten the way for them. Igir Kula, they also converted to Judaism after that anecdote. Caesar was not deterred. He sent some more Roman troops after Onkelos bar Clonimus, and he said to these troops, don't do anything with this Onkelos guy, just bring him. And when they chapped Onkelos and they were taking him, they were going. Chaza mezuzah, Onkelos saw the mezuzah scroll on the doorpost. The mancha pischa that was on the doorway. Osiv yadei ale, and Onkelos put his hand on the mezuzah on the doorpost. And he says to the Romans, he says in my high. He says to the Romans, what is this thing? Ema lon at. And he said to him, why don't you enlighten us, Onkelos? Louis says to them, "B'noga shel olam melech busar vudom yoshev ibifnim v'avodim sham eisim ibachutz." Now, the normal way for a king is that the king stays inside and he's got guards outside protecting the king. Ve'ilu HaKodesh Baruch Hu, when it comes to the Rabbanu Shalom, it's afuch, it's fakert. Avodim mibifnim, his servants, the Yidden, are inside their homes, v'mishaman mibachutz, and he guards them from outside. Shenema Hashem yishmar tzeis chovecha me'atavar elam, that the Rabbanu Shalom will guard your going outs and your comings ins from now until forever years. And they also converted to Judaism. Sulo Shada Basre, and the Caesar gave up and no longer sent troops after Onkelos bar Clonimus. Vayomer Hashem loshne goyim bevitnech. The Rabbanu Shalom says to Rivke, there are two nations in your belly. Omer Rav Yehuda Marav al tikre goyim ele geyim. Don't say nations, rather say I don't know how to describe it. A game, like two great people, two proud people, two excellent people. Is Antoninus and Rebbe. There's a reference to Antoninus as well as Rebbe. Antoninus from Esau and Rebbe from Jacob. Shleposku me'al shulchanam, that they always had 365 days in the year. L'chazeres v'leikishus v'lotznon, they never had a lack of lettuce, cucumbers, and radishes. Interesting. I would have thought nowadays we would say, I don't know, wine and cheese and chocolate and, but okay, cucumbers, that's what they like. Interesting. They had like figs and stuff. Anyways, not during the whether rain or shine, whether the summer, whether winter, they always, the Gansior, they had whatever, they had these things. They had radishes, cucumbers, and what was the other thing that we said? Lettuce. That radishes cuts the food. Chazeres, lettuce, mahapich maichol, it turns over the food, mixes it around, I guess. Kishos and cucumbers, marchiv me'ayim, it expands the intestines. V'atana d'ver b'shmol, l'menikra shmon kshul mipnei she'koshen l'gufa shaludam kecharavos. But one second, what about the Brisa? It was taught by Rabbi Shmuel that they're called kishun. Cucumbers are called kishun because they're real tough. They're real bad for you, like swords. The kasha b'rav v'abizutra. It depends if they're big or if they're small. I don't remember which one's which. If they're big, maybe they're, I don't know. One of them's good, one of them's bad. Let's see. Let's see what the article says. Where are we? Okay. The big ones are harmful. The small ones are harmless. Okay? And they're good. It expands your intestines. Okay. That wraps up the anecdote, the discussion of the relationship between Antoninus and Rebbe. Yom HaLeida v'Yom HaMisa. We also said in our Mishnah that the day that the king is born, as well as the day that he dies, are Yom Tevim for the pagans. In our Mishnah, we had said that the day that the king dies is a Yom Tif for the pagans. The day that the king dies is a Yom Tif for the pagans. The day that the king dies is Yom Tif for the pagans. Now, the Chachamim, however, made a distinction. They said, well, it depends. Not every pagan king is alike. If he's, we're going to talk about this more right now, but let's say this. If they burn his stuff, then that means that they're also gonna worship Avodah Zarah that day. If they don't burn his stuff, they're not gonna worship Avodah Zarah that day, implying that according to Reb Meir, they're gonna serve Avodah Zarah. It's not about the burning of the stuff. Right? He doesn't make this distinction. The day that the king dies is an Avodah Zarah day. So again, so says the Gemara, Michlad Meir Sarva, this implies that Meir holds, Loishna Misa Sheyesh Bo Sreifa. It doesn't matter whether the king dies and they burn his stuff. Loshna Misa She'ein Bo Sreifa. It doesn't matter if the king dies and they don't burn his stuff. Either way, Palchi B'Lavedis Kachom, that day they're going to serve the Getchkis. Amasef Alav Chuka He. So we see that according to Reb Meir, the burning of the stuff is not necessarily some kind of like pagan kind of thing, because regardless, it's they do the Avodah Zarah, not specific to like the burning of the stuff. Implying that according to the rabbis, the burning of the stuff is some kind of Avodah Zarah trigger. But we say by the Yidden that we can burn stuff for the kings, for the Jewish kings, and there's no problem. It's not considered any kind of pagan kind of thing. But if burning of this stuff is some kind of a pagan thing, then how do we do it? Don't do the stuff that they do. Rather, everyone agrees that the burning of the stuff is not inherently a pagan kind of ritual. No, it's an indication of significance, of importance. How important was this king that died? If he's important enough, they would burn his stuff. This is the machlok. Zomer savaloshna misa sheyesh basreifa vloshna misa she'ein basreifa palchi b'lavedis kechovim. Whereas Zomer says, look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he was an important king that they burn stuff for or that they don't burn stuff for. It doesn't matter. Either way, they're going to use that day as an opportunity to worship the Getchkis. V'Rabbanan Saver, was the rabbi told, Misa sheyesh basreifa chashiva lehu. But look, if the king who died was important enough that they burn his stuff, so then it's also a significant enough day that they're going to worship Avodah Zarah that day. It's an important day. They're going to worship Avodah Zarah. But any king where they don't burn his stuff, his small beans, and no specific reason for Avodah Zarah. It's a chashivas thing, right? So Meir says, look, either way, they're happy to serve Avodah Zarah. According to the Chacham, look, only if he's an important king that they burn the stuff, only then would they make it this whole Yom Tif and they serve Avodah Zarah. But if he's kind of a small beans kind of guy, then they're not going to make it a whole Avodah Zarah Yom Tif. Gufit, we had said earlier, Sorfin ala Meluchim ve'ein boy mishum darkei ha'emori. Right, that the Yidden can burn the stuff of the king, of the Jewish kings, maybe mishum darkei ha'emori, and it is not. There's no issue there of the ways of the pagan, of the Amorites. It says by Tzidkiyahu that he's going to die in peace and his stuff will be burned. And so there's no issue with his stuff being burned. And just like we can burn the king's stuff when he dies, also the Nasis. Right? Those like leaders of the Jewish community, like Rabbi Gamliel, for example. We're going to see about that in a second. What do they burn for the kings? Their beds and their vessel and their tools. So it says here as zaken, but there's another gift that says without zaken. I don't know. Okay, so was Rabbi Gamliel zaken was the Nasi? I think so. I mean, Rabbi Gamliel zaken who goes Hillel, Shimon, Rabbi Gamliel zaken, and then his son was Shimon, and then his son was Rabbi Gamliel. I believe that's correct. So Rabbi Gamliel zaken must have been the grandson of Hillel. I guess. I think he was a Nasi. Okay. V'sarf olav Unkelus Ager b'shivim mana, and Unkelus Ager burnt 70 manas. 70 tsuri manas. That's a lot of stuff. Umidi achrina lo. Where am I? Ma'in sofin alen mitazim kli tashmishan. I was saying, why was he burning money? I thought we burned his bed and his tools. Ema bishivim mana. Right? He didn't burn money. They burned his bed and his tools that were worth 70 manatsuris. Lo, that was it. You don't burn other things. Vatanya, we learn in a brisa okrid amalachim ala malachim v'im mishum darkei amori. But there's other things that we also do when the kings die. We can, like, I don't know, cut the tendons of, like, their animals or something. And it's not of the ways of the Emirates. Amar Papa sus shirachav olav uvehema tahora. Where am I? So Amar Papa sus shirachav olav. Okay, it says of Papa that, well, that's the horse that he rode on, so it's also considered as klei tashmisho, his tools, his horse. Uvehema tahora lo, but not any right, but pure animals are unaffected. But then we learn about the ikur sheish but treifa also b'shein but treifa mutter, that to, like, cut the tendons, the nerves, I don't know, of these animals, if it's in a way that will make it a treifa, it's not allowed. But if it doesn't make it a treifa, it is allowed. So now, if we're talking about treif or not, that's a kosher animal thing, right? If you're going to make it a treifa, that's specifically related to, it's a kosher animal, whether you can eat it or not. What is cutting of these, like, I don't know, like nerves and stuff that would not make it a treifa? Minasher parsosov minar kubalamata. If you, like, cut the calf or something from, like, the knee and down or something. No, so we're talking about kosher animals. So we're not talking about his horse that he rides on. So well, it could be talking about a calf, a cow that pulls a wagon, in which case it is also considered klei tashmisho. All right, exciting times here at Babel on Talmud. Yom Tiglachas Konoi. Now, on the day that a person, just a regular person, not a king, the day that a regular person shaves his beard. Maybe that's why I don't shave my beard. But anyways, this was I think, like, pagan kind of thing. So let's not go there. The day that the guy shaves his beard, he makes a Yom Tif and he worships Avodah Zarah. So basically, it seems that, I don't know, apparently when they would shave their beard, they would leave their rat tail. So they would shave their beard, and then, like, the hair on their neck, like at the end of their hair, they would have, like, a rat tail or something, and they would leave that. So the shaila is it one day or is it multiple days? Kilu, is it the day that he shaved his beard, which is also the day that he leaves his rat tail, and he doesn't cut that or something? Or is it the day that he shaves his beard / leaves his rat tail, plus also another day, which is the day that he cuts off his rat tail? Important question. Is it one day? Is it the day that he shaves his beard, which is also the day that he leaves his rat tail to grow? Or maybe it means the day that he shaves, and additionally a different day, which is the day that he cuts off his rat tail. Well, we have brises for each of them. One brisa talks about the day that he shaves his beard, which is also the day that he leaves his rat tail. And another brisa talks about the day that he shaves his beard, as well as a different day, which is the day that he cuts off his rat tail. Amar of Yehuda Amar Shmuel od acher ze shloim biromi. Says of Yehuda Amar Shmuel that there's taka another Yom Tiv that they have in Rome. This one happens every 70 years. V'in Adam Shalim, they bring a healthy chap, Umarkivin also al Adam Chiger, and they put him, I guess, on the shoulders or something of a lame person who, like, I guess can't really walk. Not very nice. Mavishin also big the Adam Arishan, and they dress up, I think, the strapping chap in the garments of the primordial man, Adam Arishan. Manichla Brosho Kiflo Shabishmo, which is disgusting on a lot of levels. And they would put on this fellow's head the scalp of Rabbi Shmuel ben Elisha Kohen Gadol, one of the Asar Aruge Malchus, who they like preserved his skin of his head, whatever. V'tolele b'tzavore maskal reish zuzah de pisa, and they would hang from his neck um, uh, um, um, uh, uh, 200 zuzes weight of paz, which is like, I think, like gold. M'chapenes hashvokim be'inoch, and they would cover the markets with carbuncle. Machrizin the fun of, and they would announce before him, Sach Kire plaster, that the cheshbin of the, I don't remember what the kire is. Does Rashi say anything? Cheshbin HaKotzin, of the officer, is lies. A reference to Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu said that the Yidden would be, there would be Mashiach, they would be redeemed, but no, it's a lie, they're not going to be redeemed. Achud Marono Zaifono, the brother of our master, Esau, is a fake. Whoever is seeing this, whoever is seeing this event is seeing it. Whoever does not see this event will never see it again, because it's only every 70 years, so you're probably only going to see it, have an opportunity to see it once in your life. Wow, who would want to miss out on this? What does it help? A trickster is tricking, and a cheat in his cheating. And then they conclude their diatribe in the following: Woe is to Esau when Jacob arises. Their mouths failed them. If they would have said that a cheat or a fake is the brother of our master, well then it means that the brother of our master, so master being Esau, his brother being Jacob, is a cheat. But Hashada Amre de Marona Zaifano, Marona Gufe Zaifanu. But now that they juxtapose Marona, their master Esau, to Zaifana, they're actually calling Esau a cheat. They messed up. My time so how come our Tana doesn't talk about this very interesting festival? Well, because the Isa b'choshata v'shata kochoshev delays b'choshata v'shata lekochoshev. Because our Tana was focusing on the Yom Tovim that happened year after year. This is only once every 70 years. Hani Durimoi. Okay, so these are the Roman. These were the Roman Yom Tovim. The Parsai, what are the Persian ones? Motarde v'toriske moharnike umoharin. Those are the Persian ones. And the Parsarad v'dromai. Okay, so those are the Persian ones, and we also mentioned the Roman ones. The Bavloi mai. What are the Babylonian ones? Moharnike v'aknise b'chnune v'eser b'odar, in the 10th of Odar. That was the Babylonian one. There are 5 like kavua, like permanent places of idol worship. And these are them. Beis Baal b'Bavel, in Bavel in Iraq, I guess there's a place called Beis Baal. Okay. Beis Nevo b'Kursi. Okay. Terasa sheb'Mapad, Tzrifa sheb'Ashkelon, Nashra sheb'Aravia. Nishra in Arabia. Interesting. Kyosar of Dimi, when Rav Dimi came, Osif Alein, when Rav Dimi came, he also added Yurid shebe'in Bechi and Nidbucha shebe'ako. Yigdami Nizbra shebe'ako. Okay, this Yurid, this carnival, I don't know, it's fair, in a place called Ein Bechi, as well as Nidbucha in Akko. Some say it's called Nizbra in Akko. Rav Dimi Menardoa Masni Ipchoi says the opposite. Yurid shebe'ako. My kvuin hein. What does it mean that they are permanent places of Avodah Zarah? Amalei. So Rav Chizda responds, Achim Ravua de Imoch. This is what your mother's father says. Kvuin hein laolam tedira kula shata palchilu. They're always, these are places that they're like always, worshiping the Getchkis in these places all the time. Remember, Shmuel, Begoleinu also Elayom Edom Bilvad, that outside of Eretz Yisrael, I assume that's what it means, there's no like few days beforehand being osir. Only the day itself is osir. The Yom Edom Nami, also the day itself, osir v'Rav Yehuda. But 1 second, is the day itself even osir? Rav Yehuda Shara le Rav Brona Zabuni Chamra. Rav Yehuda allowed Rav Brona to sell wine on their Yom Tiv. Rav Gidel Zabuni Chitin. Rav Gidel was allowed to sell wheat. The Chag Tayoi, on the festival of the I don't remember what Tayoi are. What are Tayoi? I don't know. What are Tayoi? I don't remember. What are Tayoi? Let's see. Tayoi are, drum roll, please. On the festival of the merchants. Okay. So answers the Gemara Shani Chag the Tayoi Dilo Kviya. Well, that is not a fixed Yom Tiv, so therefore I guess it's not as strict. All right, that was Daf Yud Aleph Masech Daf Avodah Zarah. We wrapped up what we talked. I had this interesting story about Onkelos bar Clonimus, and then we wrapped up the discussion with Antoninus and Rebbe, and then we moved on talking about assorted pagan Yom Tovim, like the day that the king dies, and also the day that they shave, all sorts of things. Chevre, peace.